Dun 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 dun. Welcome back to the Archiver series, How to Make a Fossil, Painting and Weathering. Before applying any color to plaster, we have to make sure that it's dry. And the best way to tell it's dry is by weight and sound. When your plaster piece is dry, it will make a sound similar to a porcelain plate. The one that I worked on last night is still a little bit wet, and as you can hear, the sound is a little bit muffled because the water doesn't let it resonate. And as you see, the plaster is a little bit too white for a fossil. We have to make it look a little bit more like a sandstone. That's why I'm going to use a dye to infuse the plaster with. In my case, I'm just going to use coffee. I hope nobody will mind that I used that coffee from the fridge. Just fill a flat tray with coffee and make sure that there's enough liquid to cover at least half of the fossil. Just soak it for a few minutes on each side, and there's really not much risk that the color will get too dark because coffee is quite light, but it will give you this nice sandstone-like appearance. And when you think it's ready, just set it aside to dry. Before starting, it's always a good idea to look at some photographic reference. I'm going with the kind of look where the fossil is dark brown against a lighter surface of the rock. Okay, let's get into painting. I'm going to use burnt umber as the main color, but to avoid the kind of flat look and very uniform color, I'm going to break it with some cobalt and maybe add some yellow ochre to the mixture. As you can see, there's a lot of water in the mixture because we want the paint to be very diluted in water, to be more like watercolor rather than a thick, opaque layer of paint that covers the entire fossil. And here are the two brushes I'm going to use. There is a little optional step that sometimes model makers use, which is to infuse the surface with some isopropyl alcohol to enhance the absorption, but I decided against it. And here comes the first of many layers. Just keep in mind that because our paint is quite wet, it's going to make the plaster appear darker for a few minutes before it dries, and when it's dry the color will be very pale again and you will have to apply many more layers. In this initial phase, it's always a good idea to decide whether your mixture is perfect. If not, just keep tweaking the mixture, adding more colors, finding your favorite shade of paint. And let's kick it into a time-lapse, because from now on there's going to be quite a tedious process of applying layer after layer. I felt like the shape of the fossil looks a little bit isolated in the middle of that plate, so I thought it would be a nice idea to sprinkle a little bit of that same paint around the object on the surface of the sandstone. Some of the larger spills can be wiped with paper towel. They're going to dry and they're not going to be that dark. I don't really mind a little bit of drama. Happy accidents is what makes art interesting. And almost our final step, adding some more contrast to our surface by rubbing it with some brown Conti crayon. Make sure that your crayon is not oil-based or wax-based. And for even more realism, I decided to sprinkle some chalk on top of the surface. And now, an optional step, I just painted the backs with the same color just to add some more durability. And the one fossil that I worked on behind the scenes has a little wire loop. I used stainless steel wire and I dipped it in the plaster before it set, and it's probably a good idea to do that. And finally, I'm going to cover the fossils with a layer of clear finish. And here we have our fossils, type specimens, ready to hang. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to fossilize some more things. Thank you for watching.